Congratulations! You've just been hired to feed someone else's child with your own body. You're told this is an honor, a position of trust, maybe even a privilege. You'll be brought into a household that could never afford you otherwise. You'll have security, stability, a roof, 3 meals. What they don't tell you is that your body no longer belongs to you. Let's start with how you got here. You just gave birth, maybe a week ago, maybe 3 days. Your own infant is still alive, still hungry, still reaching for you. But someone with money has decided they need you more. Maybe it's a noblewoman who doesn't want the inconvenience of breastfeeding. Maybe it's a merchant's wife who's been told it's unfashionable to nurse her own children. Maybe it's a mother who physically can't produce milk and has no other option. Doesn't matter. What matters is they can pay and you can't say no. Because here's the thing, you're poor, desperately poor. Your husband might be dead, or gone, or earning so little that your family was already deciding which child gets to eat today. When someone offers you a contract, room and board, and a small wage to do something your body is already doing anyway, you don't have the luxury of refusal. You sign. You pack whatever fits in a cloth bag, and you leave your own baby behind. Sometimes with your mother, sometimes with a neighbor, sometimes with your husband who has no idea how to keep an infant alive. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself the money you send back will feed your child better than your milk ever could. You tell yourself this is love. You're lying, but you have to believe it. You arrive at the household and immediately you're examined. Not welcomed, examined. They check your teeth like you're a horse. They squeeze your breasts to see if your supply is good. They ask invasive questions about your health, your diet, your own child. One woman asks if your baby was a boy or girl, then nods approvingly when you say girl, because everyone knows boys drink more and you'll have better supply for their son if you weren't drained by a greedy male infant. You're not introduced to the family. You're introduced to the child you'll be feeding, a small, red-faced thing that doesn't know you exist. The mother hands the baby to you with instructions. Feed on demand, keep the child satisfied, don't let them cry. She doesn't ask if you're tired. She doesn't ask about your own child. She tells you where you'll sleep. It's not a bedroom. It's a small space near the nursery, close enough to hear every whimper, close enough that you'll never sleep more than 2 hours at a time for the next year, maybe longer. The first night, you sit in the dark and hold this stranger's child to your chest. Your breasts ache. They're engorged because your body doesn't understand that your own baby isn't here. The milk that should be going to your daughter is going to this merchant's son. You tell yourself it's the same. Milk is milk, a baby is a baby. But it's not the same, and you know it. Your own child is miles away, being fed watered-down animal milk or thin gruel if you're lucky. You signed a contract that says you won't nurse any other child while you're employed here. That includes your own. If you go back to visit, if you sneak away and feed your daughter, and they find out, you're fired. No severance, no recommendation, and good luck finding another family that will hire a wet nurse who broke contract. So, you don't go back. You send money when you can. You write letters if you're literate, or you pay someone to write them for you. You ask how she's doing. The replies are always vague. She's fine. She's eating. She's growing. No one tells you that she cries at night. No one tells you she's not gaining weight the way she should. No one tells you anything that would make you leave, because everyone back home needs the money you're sending more than they need you to know the truth. Months pass. The baby you're nursing grows fat and healthy. Everyone compliments the mother on how well her son is thriving. No one mentions you. You're invisible until you're needed, and you're needed constantly. Middle of the night, early morning, mid-afternoon. The child wants to eat, you feed him. You don't get breaks, you don't get shifts. You're not an employee, you're a function. A milk-producing function that occasionally needs food and sleep. The other servants look at you differently. You're not quite one of them, because you have access to the family in ways they don't. You're allowed in private rooms, you're holding the air, you're trusted with something precious. But you're also not family, you're staff. The lady of the house speaks to you in clipped instructions. The master of the house doesn't speak to you at all. Or worse, he does. Because here's something no one warns you about. You're a woman, Alone, living in a household where you're considered low status and completely dependent on their goodwill. Your body is already being used by this family in the most intimate way possible. Some men see that as an invitation. Maybe it's the master of the house, maybe it's a brother, a cousin, a guest. Maybe it's another servant who figures you're already disgraced by circumstance and won't resist. You can't report it. Who would you tell? The wife who already resents that your child prefers your breast to her presence? The household steward who'll say you're lying for attention? You have no leverage, no protection, no recourse. If you get pregnant, you're fired. If you fight back and cause a scene, you're fired. If you're lucky, nothing happens and you just live with the fear. Every footstep in the hallway at night, every time you're alone in a room with a man, every moment you're reminded that your body is not your own and your safety was never part of the contract. The child grows, starts eating solid food, needs you less. You feel relief, then panic, because less need means you're closer to being disposable. The family starts discussing weaning. You have maybe 3 months before your employment ends. You haven't seen your own daughter in over a year. The money you've saved isn't enough to live on for long. You'll need another position, and those aren't easy to find.
Wet nurses are always in demand, but never for long. You age out quickly. Your body changes. After 2 or 3 children, your own, plus the ones you nursed for pay, your supply isn't what it was. Younger women with fresh milk are cheaper and more desirable. You're maybe 25 years old and already considered past your prime for this work. You finally go home. You walk into your mother's house and there's your daughter. She's walking now, talking. She looks at you like you're a stranger, because you are. She doesn't remember you. Why would she? She spent more time with your mother than with you. You reach for her and she pulls away, clings to your mother's skirts, cries when you try to hold her. You've spent a year keeping someone else's child alive, and your own doesn't know your face. The money you saved goes faster than you expected. Food, rent, clothes your daughter has outgrown. Your mother is older now, can't work like she used to. Your husband, if he's still around, resents that you were gone, resents that you came back, resents the whole situation, but won't say it outright. The tension in the house is suffocating. You need another job. But here's the problem. You're not lactating anymore. You'd need to be pregnant again, give birth again to be hireable as a wet nurse. Some women do this intentionally. Get pregnant, give birth, hand the baby off, and immediately take a wet nurse contract. It's a cycle, a biological economy where your body is the product and you're just the operator. You can't do it again. You tell yourself you can't do it again, but then winter comes and there's no food and your daughter is hungry and someone mentions that a family 2 towns over is looking for a wet nurse. Good pay, decent household. You feel your throat tighten. You feel your stomach drop. You feel yourself starting to calculate. Could you leave again? Could your daughter survive another year without you? Could you survive another year knowing what it costs? Some women say no. They find other work, laundry, sewing, field labor, anything that keeps them home. The pay is worse, the hours are brutal, but at least they're present. At least their children know them. Some women say yes. They take the contract. They leave again. They become professional wet nurses, moving from household to household, child to child, year after year. Their own children grow up with relatives, or in poor houses, or don't grow up at all. The mortality rate for infants raised without their mothers is high. No one talks about it. It's just understood. The cost of survival. And some women don't get to choose. They're widowed or abandoned, or their families are so desperate that the decision is made for them. You'll go, you'll nurse, you'll send money, and we'll manage here. It's not a request. It's an economic necessity dressed up as a family decision. You take the second contract. This household is worse. The mother is suspicious, competitive, makes snide comments about how the baby seems to prefer you. The pay is lower than promised. They deduct costs for your room and board that weren't mentioned in the original agreement. You're too afraid to argue. You need this. The baby is colicky, screams for hours. Your breasts are sore, cracked, sometimes infected. There's no doctor for you. You're told to push through it. Use lard, use cabbage leaves, use prayer. Whatever keeps the milk flowing. The child's health matters. Yours is optional. You write home less often because what is there to say? You ask about your daughter and the replies are always the same. She's fine. She's growing. She asks about you sometimes. That last part might be a lie to make you feel better, but you cling to it anyway. 2 years pass like this. 2 years of nursing a child who isn't yours, living in a house where you're tolerated but not valued, sending money to a family you barely see. You're 27 now. You look older. The work has aged you in ways that aren't visible but are deeply felt. Your back hurts in places it didn't before. Your back, your shoulders, your hips. Constant holding, constant bending, constant physical labor disguised as nurturing. The contract ends. The family doesn't renew. The child is weaned and you're no longer needed. They pay you what they owe you, barely thank you, and you're back on the road. You go home again. Your daughter is older now. She's polite to you but distant. She calls your mother Mama and you by your first name. You don't correct her. What would be the point? Your mother is the one who raised her. You were just the one who paid for it. You're too old now for most families to hire you. They want younger women, first-time mothers with abundant supply. You're used goods, worn out. You take whatever work you can find. Cleaning, cooking, mending. The pay is terrible. You're back to the same poverty you tried to escape, except now you've also lost years with your child and ruined your health. Some former wet nurses end up in almshouses. Some end up begging. Some remarry if they're lucky, though most men don't want a woman whose body has been used to feed other men's children. There's a stigma. You're considered loose, improper, too familiar with the intimate acts of childcare in wealthy homes. Never mind that you were doing survival work. The judgment sticks. Your daughter grows up. She's a stranger to you, raised by your mother, shaped by your absence. She doesn't blame you exactly, but she doesn't understand either. How do you explain that you sacrificed your relationship with her to keep her alive? How do you make that sound like love and not abandonment? You can't, so you don't try. You're 40 now. Your body is broken from years of pregnancies, nursing, and hard labor. You have chronic pain, respiratory issues from damp rooms, digestive problems from inconsistent meals. There's no retirement plan for wet nurses, no pension, no safety net. You're poor again, just like you started, except now you're also alone. The children you nursed don't remember you. Why would they? You were staff. The families you worked for don't think of you at all. You were a service, not a person. Your own child loves you in the obligatory way children love distant parents, but there's no closeness, no real bond. You're a figure in her history, not a presence in her life. And here's the cruelest part. You do it all again, because the alternative was watching your child starve. The alternative was homelessness, destitution, death. You made the only choice available to you, and it destroyed you slowly, methodically, without drama or recognition. You spent your youth feeding other people's children with your own body. You gave them your milk, your time, your health, your motherhood, and in return, you got barely enough money to survive, no security, no respect, and a lifetime of absence from the one person who actually needed you. This is what it means to be a wet nurse. You're not honored, you're exploited. You're not trusted, you're tolerated. And when you're used up, you're forgotten. Your body was a resource. And like all resources in an economy that doesn't value you as a person, you were extracted from, used up, and discarded. That's the job. That's the reality. That's why it sucks.